Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to our 11th annual conference, the Tawheed Conference. We thank everybody who had traveled distances to be here with us. We thank our honored new guests that are here. This is the third day of the conference. We had a very lovely 2 days prior to this. We had some good discussion, excellent presentations, which some of you will get to see later on as they're posted onto social media. And today is the last day. The theme of this conference this year is beware of slipping back into darkness. Prior to this, those of you who have been following our conferences, you know that we've talked about knowing what you believe. This year we took a turn in that because of some events that had happened that developed as a result of our Quran study groups and people who have come among us in those groups, and some people in particular who have now left those groups and are rejecting the notion that we have here in this group of following the Quran alone and trusting with Allah alone. One of the people that I want to highlight, and I'm making personally as my own idea, is a brother named Jake Brancatella. Now this brother Jake Brancatella, you know him now as the Muslim metaphysician. I'm going to label him the Muslim metamorphosis, the person who has made such a great backwards and miraculous type change that he's unrecognizable to what he was prior to this. And I'm not just going to be doing that out of spite or some envy or some malice of intent, because he chose to point me out as one of the people who they are now naming and labeling a Quranist. People who follow the Quran alone, and which I reject that title, that label. I am a Muslim who follow the Quran. Now I'm going to play a clip of his calling me out in that position, and so I feel right to call him out. And I'm going to show a clip also of how he was adhering to this position and how he used the material that he learned in our group based on the Quran to uphold the Quran and reject the Sunnah. Following that, I'll show another clip where he, based on conjecture and lack of evidence, turned away from the evidence that he had, solid evidence of the Quran, and now practice Sunni Islam, which is a form of shirk in my belief. So without further ado, let me get into that. So the topic this year is beware of slipping back into darkness. And I also have another brother who I won't call his name. I was going to do it, but he knows who it is, who I think now is on the same path, if he doesn't correct himself, as Jake Brancatella. He's slipping back into darkness. So Jake is my poster boy for this conference, and this other brother is the inspiration. So without any further ado, we'll listen to the clip.
A guy that I was very close with, named Hamza Abdul Malik, and his videos are on YouTube too. And he's a very well-known proponent of this. He was a Sunni for about 40 years. And he was even known in the Sunni community for debating Christians. And he was actually taught in Ahmadiyya school in South Africa. He was basically Ahmadiyyah's representative in the US for debating Christians at the time that this was going on. And later on, he discovered, according to him, that the hadith stuff was nonsense. And so that we only need to follow the Quran, and he's been that way for, I don't know, maybe the past 15 years or so. And so he's another big proponent of this idea. Now, the last verse that I'm going to recite to you guys today is Surah 16, verse 125. It says, "Call to the way of thy Lord with the wisdom and goodly exhortation, and argue with them in the best manner. Surely thy Lord knows best him who strays from his path, and he knows best those who go aright." Now, everyone who gives dawah or knows the Quran knows that even the traditionalists, so-called traditionalists, the Sunnis, use this verse as a springboard for the dawah, a way for them to know how to give dawah and call to Allah. Okay? And this is first directed, because it's used in the singular form, to the messenger himself, but it also applies to us today, of course. Now, in this verse, okay, it says, "Call to the way of thy Lord with the wisdom." You see? Now, in light of us now knowing what the wisdom is, it's the contents of the Quran, because the Quran is Al-Quran Al-Hakim, okay? We know now, based on this verse, we are only to call to Allah alone with the Quran alone, you see? And this is something that the messenger had to use during his time, and that we are to use today. So even this verse alone shows the authority of the Quran alone, and that nothing else is needed, you see? Okay? So, if we wanted to interpret it as you guys do, as the wisdom somehow being equivalent to the Sunnah of Muhammad, we would have to understand this verse as saying, "Call to the way of thy Lord with the Sunnah," which would, if it's distinct from the Quran, if it's distinct from the book, well, then that wouldn't make any sense, and we don't need the Quran. We just need the Sunnah of Muhammad, which obviously you guys do not believe in. So I'm just showing this as an argument from absurdity to show that your position breaks down upon analysis of the term Hakim in the Quran, and we see that it's not what you guys understand it to be and what you interpret it to be. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, The Criterion. Today I'm going to discuss a very important topic, and that is the issue of the Quran alone position. There is some small group of Muslims who believe that the Quran is sufficient in all matters of the deen in terms of guidance and revelation for Muslims to follow. The majority of Muslims feel that a separate source known as Sunnah, or which is found in Hadith books, is necessary for Muslims to follow. So today I'm going to be analyzing the first view, known as the Quran only position, to see if it is defensible. My position now is that the Quran alone position is indefensible and untenable in light of certain verses that I'm going to convey today, one of which is Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 143. Okay? And in that verse it says, "And thus we have made you a just community, that you will be witnesses over the people, and the messenger will be a witness over you. And we did not make the Qibla, which you used to face, except that we might make evident who would follow the messenger from who would turn back on his heels. And indeed, it is difficult except for those whom Allah has guided, and never would Allah have caused you to lose your faith. Indeed, Allah is to the people kind and merciful." Now, why is this verse difficult for Quran-only Muslims to reconcile with their belief? Well, the reason is that the verse specifically mentions that the messenger was on a previous Qibla before Al-Masjid Al-Haram, which is in the second verse, which is in the next verse in 2:144, which says, "Indeed, we see the turning of thy face," speaking to the messenger. "So we shall surely make thee master of the Qibla which you likest. Turn then thy face towards the sacred mosque, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and wherever you are, turn your faces towards it. But those who have been given the book certainly know that it is the truth from their Lord, and Allah is not heedless of what they do. So the question is, okay, the second Qibla that the messenger was supposed to be following, according to 2:144, is Al-Masjid Al-Haram, okay? In the previous verse, it says that the messenger was on a previous Qibla, okay? Now, I'm not going to get bogged down in the terms of Qibla and Al-Masjid Al-Haram and what exactly these things mean yet. It's not my point yet, okay? I'm going to get to that a little bit later about Al-Masjid Al-Haram. But it's clear from 2:143 that the messenger, Rasul, is the word used, was on a previous Qibla before Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and his contemporaries were also. And Allah says the purpose in having the first Qibla and then the second one, okay, was so that we might make evident who would follow the messenger from who would turn back on his heels. So that means he had to be the messenger at the time when he was following the first Qibla. Otherwise, people would not have to follow him to the second Qibla because he wouldn't have authority if he wasn't the messenger at that point. Okay? So now the question is, well, we have a clear verse in 2:144 where it states that the messenger is now and the people are now to follow the new Qibla, Al-Masjid Al-Haram. But yet, where is the command in the Quran for the messenger and other people to follow the first Qibla, whatever that was? We don't have any such command, okay? Now, it is the position of the majority, or at least the majority of the Quran-only Muslims that I know, that they believe that the only wahi or revelation that the messenger received was the Quran. So now the question comes, why was he called the messenger at this time when he was on the previous Qibla and teaching others to do so? Okay? And secondly, why was he commanding other people to follow that if he didn't have that command in the Quran? We don't see a command in the Quran for him to follow this other Qibla, okay? So if it's not in the Quran and Allah certifies him in following it and the other people to follow it and tells us the reason for why he did that and says he was a messenger, okay? Then the question is, where is that command, okay? So Sunnis understand that this verse shows that the messenger must have received other wahi apart from the Quran in which the messenger had access to and warned other people by. Now, this is my understanding as well from the verse. I think that's pretty clear. Okay, now I'm going to step up to the whiteboard because I have a diagram regarding this question of whether or not the messenger received wahi apart from the Quran. Okay? So,
lights. Are we rolling? Okay, there we have it. So, this is why now this evening I'm presenting this lecture. Now regarding this brother Jake, I have another lecture designed for him specifically called The Black Hole. And that lecture is based upon the verse of the Quran, chapter 40, verse 12. That says basically, that is because when Allah wahdahu, Allah alone was called upon, you kafaru, you disbelieve. But when others, the shirk, was associated with him, you amanu, you believe. And so that lecture, we touched upon it earlier here in this group, and it will be posted and developed later on. The black hole. Today, the lecture is beware of slipping back into darkness, and this is designed for the other party of this black hole and darkness concept, who I feel is beginning to slip back into darkness. And I want to not only reach out to that brother and caution him, but to reach out to each and every Muslim in particular who Allah has taken from darkness into light, and make them aware and be cautious of slipping back into darkness. And so for that, I have developed this chart, this poster, as a poster that represents both positions, the black hole and the concept of slipping back into darkness. And I said that our good brother Jake is a poster boy in my mind for the black hole. And this is him right here. This is Jake right here. This is him. You can't see him, his picture, because he's in the black hole. So that's him. He's in the black hole. For the other brother, we don't have his picture also, but this represents him here. He's beginning to slip back into the black hole. And so this represents him. And so we want to be having him cautious of that. We'll develop this kind of thing later. I know it seems like some little child's play or some kind of nonsense, but it's what it is. It has a little humor to it perhaps, but it's a very serious matter. Now, also, this poster deals with the verse that I'm going to be using called Surah Asr. Well, us, innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Chapter 103 of the Quran, verses 1 to 3. Now, it's called The Time. And again, let me thank everybody for coming here today. Again, I want to do a special thanks to our brother Zafar Khan and his family, who have been hosting us during the 3 days of this conference. His lovely family, they have fed us to no end. Right now I'm a little sluggish because I've eaten a real good meal. I've been eating these meals every day, and everybody is so pleased with the hospitality that we're getting. So we want to do a special thanks for him and his family, and we have some guests that traveled here with us today to come and visit us. And these people seem to be such a beautiful family. It's something that I haven't witnessed in all the 50-some years of my being Muslim and traveling different parts of the world as much as I have traveled. I've never seen in one place at one time 2 generations of 3-generation Quran followers alone, believing in Allah alone under one roof. I have witnessed that today. And so I thank Allah for that experience. I don't know if I'll be able to see it again. So now, Asr, the time. The time. The central contention of the Quran is that man, by reason of being a man is engaged. This man, by being a man, he's engaged in what? A losing transaction. His vigor, his vitality, and his physical powers. Once you come into the world and you become an adult man, you are losing. You come into the world, you're losing. You lose your vigor, your vitality, and your physical powers. And chapter 103, verse 1 to 3, by the time, surely mankind is at loss, except those who believe and do righteous deeds and exhort one another to truth and exhort one another to patience. So the only way you can escape the apparent and inherent loss that you will incur by the token of time, which we see here, that time is here, time will take you here, and time can take you here. It depends on how you utilize time. Man is at loss. You have to enjoin one another with al-haq, the truth, and enjoin one another with patience. Patient doesn't mean here to be patient and, well, let me be patient, just stand around and wait. No, patient means to persevere with patience. Don't be angry, don't be proud, don't be revengeful or whatever, and persevering towards right conduct. So that's what patience is, to persevere with a sense of purpose. Now, beware of slipping back into darkness. Let's also beware of darkness. And again, when I said beware, I could have chosen to say be aware. I could have chosen be aware, and I could have chosen to have said beware, which I did choose. Be aware means to, like, if there's a dog loose in a yard, and I come in the yard, and the sign says, beware of the dog. So that means I see the dog, and I'm aware of him. Okay, it's no problem. I see the dog, I'm aware of him. I don't step on him or nothing. But if it says beware of the dog, now I have to make sure the dog doesn't attack me because there's danger. So beware is alluding to danger. Be aware is just like making you notice something and whatever. So we have to beware of slipping back into darkness because of the danger that's involved. Now, chapter 80, verses 33 to 42. Beware of the darkness. 33. But when the deafening blast cry comes, the day when a man will flee from his brother and his mother and his father and his wife and his children. This is a terrible day. The day when the deafening blast comes, the cry comes out. The day when a man will flee from his brother, from his mother, from his father, from his wife, from his children. Every man of them that day will have concern enough to make him indifferent to others. In other words, I'm not caring about nobody else, just myself. Faces on that day will be bright, laughing, rejoicing at good news. And faces on that day will have dust on them, darkness covering them. Those are the disbelievers, the wicked ones. So you have to be aware of that day of darkness. Now, chapter 2, verse 257. Chapter 2, verse 257. This is what this poster represents here. Allah is the friend of those who believe. He brings them out of darkness into light. And those who disbelieve, their friends are the devil, who takes them out of light into darkness. They are the companions of the fire. Allah brings you out of darkness into light, light meaning the truth. The word light in the Quran is nur, and that word, grammatically rooted, is singular. So that means the source of light and guidance is one source, singular. But the word for darkness is dhulamat, and that word is plural. That means that the darkness that you are involved in is multifaceted. Could be any kind of thing. A lot of darkness, only one source of guidance for the light. Now, as a sidebar, chapter 43, verse 36 to 37. And whoever turns himself away from the remembrance of the beneficent will appoint for him a devil. So he is his associate. And surely they hinder them from the right path, and they think that they are rightly guided. Whoever turns himself away from the remembrance of Allah will appoint for him, as your companion, walking with you, traveling with you daily, a devil. They hinder you from the right path, and at the same time, you are thinking that you are rightly guided. A message sent down, chapter 65, verse 10 to 11. Beware of slipping back into darkness. The Arabs are warned. Allah has prepared for them a severe chastisement, so keep your duty to Allah, O men of understanding who believe. Allah has indeed sent down to you a reminder. What? A messenger who recites to you clear messages of Allah, so that he may bring you forth from those who believe, bring them forth from darkness into light. Allah has sent down to you what? A messenger who recites to you the clear messages of Allah. He's reciting to you the clear messages of Allah. That's what it is. He's not reciting to you any other source. No hadith. He's not rehearsing to you any sunnah. It's only one source. And what is that source to do? That he may bring you forth, those who believe, and do good deeds from darkness into light. Now, just as another note, we know that this messenger, this source, is sent down. However, Muhammad was raised up. I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to kill too much time. I promise to try to make this short and sweet. But keep that in mind, that Muhammad in chapter 2, verse 151, and was raised up, not sent down. Now, one more verse, let me quote, chapter 14, verse 1. A book which we have revealed, we have sent down, that thou mayest bring his people, mankind, by their Lord's permission from darkness into light, to the way of the mighty, the praised one. Now, in chapter 42, verse 53, we talk about the path of Allah, Siratullah. And chapter 6, verse 127, we talk about the path of thy Lord, Siratul Rabbika. And in chapter 11, verse 66, surely my Lord is upon a Siratul Mustaqim. So all of this Sirat business here is singular. There's only one path. It's singular. There's no dual path. There's no dual light. There's no dual guidance. Now, beware. Chapter 11, verse 110 to 115. Beware. And certainly we gave the book to Moses, but differences arose therein. We gave the book to Moses, and in that book, differences arose. Remember, Allah talks about those who write the book with their own hands and said it's from Allah. And had not a word gone forth from thy Lord, the matter would have been decided between them, and they are surely in dispute and doubt about it. Verse 111. And thy Lord will surely pay back to all their deeds in full. Indeed, he is aware of what they do. Verse 112. Continue then in the right way. Now, we talked about this verse earlier where it says, Fastakimu. In other words, when you're standing talking to Allah about Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim, Allah has told you, in terms of the messenger, that we have guided you to the Siratal Mustaqim. We've guided you there already. Now he's telling you to continue in that way. Why would he tell you to continue in the right way and you still asking to be guided to the right way? It doesn't make sense. So that ritual prayer that you're doing every day, reciting the Fatiha 17 times or more a day, is just redundancy, it's lunacy, it's silly season. And we talked about that before. So now, continue in the right way as thou art commanded, as also those who turn with thee, and be not inordinate, surely Allah see what you do. Verse 113. And incline not to those who do wrong. You see, is I'll beware. Don't incline to those people who do wrong, lest the fire touches you. You want to incline to them, you opening your door up, you open yourself up for the fire to touch you. Don't incline to those people who do wrong. And you have no protector besides the law, then you will not be helped. And Akimi Salah, at the two ends of the day and the first hours of the night, surely good deeds take away evil deeds. This is a reminder for the mindful. Now, of course, some people are going to look at this and say, oh, look at him. He didn't want to say, keep up prayer. He said, Akimi Salah. He's trying to dodge that bullet. Now, we know that's silly season. Just go to YouTube and look at my lecture on the Quranic concept of Salah. And plus, I'll be coming back at this soon. I'm coming back at that Salah with a vengeance. So I'm just being nice now and get away. Don't get too happy because you'll regret it later. Now, 115. And be patient. Surely Allah wastes not the reward of the doers of good. Now, words matter. We said beware. Words matter. Definition. I just gave it to you a few minutes ago. Let's go with it. I jumped ahead of myself. Beware means to be cautious and alert to danger. Be aware means to have knowledge or perception of a fact. Beware indicates danger, as beware merely calls attention to something. Be aware. Be aware. You might trip over something in the dark. Beware, the dog might bark you. Bark you, bite you. He might bark you too if you're not careful. It depends on what kind of dog it is. So now look. So now the dictionary word for beware, hadhirah. To beware, to take heed, caution, to caution oneself against. And in this case, slipping back into darkness. Now the Quranic use of the word beware. The Quranic use of the word beware, we'll use a few examples. Chapter 2, verse 235. And there's no blame on you respecting that which you speak indirectly and asking of women in marriage, or keep your proposal concealed within your minds. There's no problem with this. Allah knows that you will have them in your minds. But give them not a promise in secret unless you speak in a lawful manner. And confirm not the marriage tie until the prescribed period reaches its end. And know that Allah knows what is in your minds, so beware of Him. There's a word there in. Beware of Him. Beware of Him. Beware of the danger in disobeying Allah. And know that Allah is forgiving, forbearing. Beware. Chapter 5, verse 41 to 42. And we'll go to 49 and 59 as well. O Messenger, let not those grieve you who hasten to disbelieve. Don't let them grieve you. Those from among you, those who say with their mouths, we believe, and in their hearts they believe not. Don't let them bother you. And those from among those who say that they are Jews. They are listeners for the sake of a lie, listeners for one another, people who have not come to thee. They're listening for them. They're like spies. They come among you and they listen and they go back. What are they talking about? Well, they're talking about this hadith and sunnah and stuff is not valid and all this stuff for law. So they alter the words of Allah after they are put in their places, saying, if you are given this, take it. And if you are not given this, be cautious. Be aware. And he for whom Allah intends temptation, thou controlleth naught for him against Allah. Those are they whose hearts Allah intends not to purify. For them is disgrace in this world, and for them is a grievous chastisement in the hereafter. Verse 42. What are they? Listeners for the sake of a lie. They're listening to catch you in some kind of lie or something. Devourers of forbidden things. So if they come to thee, judge them or turn away from them. They cannot harm thee at all. If thou judge them, judge between them with equity. Surely the law loves the equitable. 49. And that thou shouldest judge between them with what Allah has sent down, and follow not their low desires, and be cautious. Here we are, beware of them, lest they seduce thee from part of that which Allah has given you. Be cautious of them, lest they seduce you from a part of what Allah has given you, has sent down to you. Then if they turn away, know that Allah desires to afflict them for some of their sins, and surely many of the people are transgressors. Verse 59, say, O people of the book, do you find fault with us for aught except that we say we believe in Allah alone and in that which He has sent down to us? We say that to our Sunni Muslim brothers. You want to find fault with us? You want to call us Quraniyun, Quranists, Hadith rejectors? Something for what reason? That we trust in what Allah and Allah alone and that which He has sent down to us and that which He has sent down before, while most of you are transgressors. That's what you are, and you got time to fool around with us like that, and you're transgressors. Now, let's get one thing perfectly clear. I want us to understand this completely. Nazala, sent down. Chapter 2, verse 185. The month of Ramadan is that in which the Quran was sent down, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs of the guidance and the criterion. You should exalt the greatness of Allah for having guided you. I'm just going past some things. You should exalt the greatness of Allah for having guided you, and that you may give thanks. So the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was sent down. It was sent down and clear proofs of the guidance, and it was the Furqan, the distinguisher, the detailer, and you should be grateful to Allah for having guided you. Chapter 5, verse 67, O Messenger, deliver that which has been sent down to thee from thy Lord, and if you do it not, thou hast not delivered His message. And Allah will protect you from the people. Surely Allah God not the disbelieving people. Beware of slipping back into darkness. Now, Anzala, that's sent down. Chapter 7, verse 2 to 3. A book, verse 2, a book sent down to thee, to Muhammad, a book sent down to thee. So let there be no straightness in thy breast concerning it, that thou mayest warn thereby, and a reminder for the believers. That's to Muhammad, a book sent down to you. Verse 3 of chapter 7, follow what has been sent down to you from your Lord. That's talking to us. The first verse talking to Muhammad, a book sent down to you. Allah is telling us as well as him to follow what is sent down to us, to you, kum, plural, from your Lord. And follow not besides him any guardians, little do you mind. Now about the warning and the warner. Chapter 21, verse 45. Say, I warn you only by revelation. Only by revelation. I warn you only by revelation. And the deaf hear not the call when they are warned. Chapter 36, verse 69 to 70. This is naught but a reminder and a clear Quran. 70, what? To warn him who would have life, and that the speech may prove true against the disbelievers, against the kafirun. So here, this Quran is nothing but a reminder. And a clear Quran is a clear Quran to do what? To warn him who would have life. If you want to have life, if you want to have what is called salvation, if you want to be successful, then this Quran is the thing that will make that happen for you. We know that in chapter 6, verse 19, the prophet had called Allah, the messenger, to bear witness to what he was going to say regarding the warning with the Quran, that this Quran has been revealed to me, that with it I may warn you and whomever it reaches. So, to warn him who would have life, and that the speech may prove true against the disbelievers. Chapter 46, verse 12. And before it, before this Quran, was the book of Moses, a guide and a mercy, and this is a book verifying it in the Arabic language, that it alone, it, may warn those who do wrong, and good news for the believers, the doers of good. Chapter 38, verse 65 to 70. 65, say, I am only a warner, and there is no God but God, but Allah, the one, the subduer. Only this is revealed to me that what? I'm only a plain warner. Now, chapter 47, verse 20, talking about what is sent down. And those who believe say, why is not a surah sent down? But when a decisive surah is sent down, and fighting is mentioned therein, thou seest those in whose hearts is the disease look to thee with the look of fainting at death. So woe to them. Now here's something you just want to pick up as a sidebar. It says, when a decisive surah is sent down, that means a muhkam surah. So what surah in the Quran can we right away identify as a muhkam surah, not a muhkam verse? That is chapter 9 of the Quran. That's a surah in which fighting is required. That fighting, killing, and slaughter, death, and whatever it might be, is a muhkam surah. So let's keep that in mind as a sidebar. Chapter 2, verse 23. And if you are in doubt as to that which we have sent down to our servant, then produce a surah like it, and call your helpers besides Allah if you are truthful. So now, like our good brother Jake was talking earlier on the tape about something revealed to the messenger other than the Quran. So he didn't know what it was. He's only guessing, so he jumped ship out of the Quran, threw the Quran under the bus based on that conjecture that he didn't know. Well, he should have read this verse, chapter 2, verse 23, where it said that if you are in doubt about that which we have sent down to our servant, then produce a what? A surah like it. That means what was sent down is surahs. Now he got something other than the surahs of the Quran, some other surahs like it. You mean the hadith is surahs like it? The seerah is surahs like it? What kind of lunacy is that? Now, so he's forever stuck with that. He can't take that back. He didn't know, and there's no surahs like that. He just jumped into a black hole. He's there now. He has to kind of exit on the other side or find a way to ask Allah to relieve him, get him out of that black hole. And everybody else who's in it, or those people who will slip into it, make sure that they don't confuse these second source things and make them as surahs, because that's the only thing that was sent down to the messenger, surahs. If you're in doubt about that which we have sent down to our servant, produce a surah like it, and call your helpers besides Allah if you are truthful. Only surahs were sent down. Again, talking about what is sent down, chapter 13, verse 19. Is he who knows that he will be sent, is he who knows that what is sent down to thee from thy Lord is the truth, like him who is blind? Only men of understanding will mind. Is a person like we in this group who knows that what is sent down to the messenger is the truth. Chapter 47, verse 2, it says, that which is sent down to Muhammad, that is the truth from their Lord, Al-Haq. So we who know that is the truth, like the person who is blind, who think, well, brother, he must have got some second revelation. It must be Hadith and Sunnah, Shira, Tafsir, gibberish, some Hadith of gibberish, some Kuli gibberish. What kind of foolishness is that? There's no surahs. We know what is sent down. We know that it's surahs. Chapter 39, verse 55. And follow the best of that which is sent down. sent down to you from your Lord before chastisement comes to you all of a sudden, while you perceive not. Get on board. Do what you got to do before some chastisement show up on you, and you don't know it's right on your tail. It's right on you while you perceive it not. Do it now. Stop doing with your foolishness and do it now. But you can wait. No problem. Now, we know that Allah says He created the man and jinn to serve Him. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. The jinn seemed to get things right at some point. In chapter 46, verse 30, the jinn, they said, "O our people, we have heard a book sent down after Moses, verifying that which is before it, guiding to the truth and to a straight path." These are the jinn. They got more sense than these Sunni Muslims. The jinn. They said, the jinn. They said, "O our people, we have heard a book sent down after Moses." We heard that. What is guiding to the truth, al-haq, and to the sirat al-mustaqim. You let the jinn outsmart you on this one. The jinn, they got sense enough to know. You talk about stuff a lot, the jinn. The jinn got sense enough to know that. You don't know. Beware continues, chapter 63, verse 1 to 4. The hypocrites. Beware of slipping back into darkness. The hypocrites. Chapter 63, verse 1 to 4. When the hypocrites come to thee, they say, "We bear witness that thou art indeed the messenger of Allah." The hypocrites. We bear witness that thou art indeed the messenger of Allah. And Allah knows that thou art indeed His messenger, and Allah bears witness that the hypocrites are liars. Verse 2. They take shelter under their oaths, thus turning men away from Allah's way. Surely evil is that which they do. The hypocrites. Is our word. That is because. We talked about it this morning. That is because they believe, they believe and then disbelieve. They believe and then disbelieve. Sounds familiar? Our good brother Jake. He believed and then disbelieved. He's in that category of a hypocrite now because he's claiming still that he somehow believes, but he's bringing in hadith and sunnah and all that. The disbelief. So he's a hypocrite. He's in the middle. That's what Allah called him. I'm not calling him that. That's what he's identified by the Quran. Now, if I'm wrong, it's no problem. He can correct me. Somebody can correct me. I'll be corrected. Or on the day of judgment, Allah will straighten me out. But that's what I see at this point. That's what I see. And if I see differently, I will publicly, just like I'm talking now, admit that I was mistaken. Publicly, that's like I'm doing now. I'll do that. No doubt about it. But right now, I don't see the possibility of that happening. Verse 4, chapter 63, verse 4. We said that is because they believed and disbelieved, and thus their hearts are sealed, so they understand not. Verse 4. And when thou seest them, when you see them, their person pleases you. And if they speak, thou listen to their speech. They are like pieces of wood clad with garments. You know, you ever been in a farmer's place, and you see the scarecrow out, and the scarecrow thing is a piece of wood. It's got a big hat on, clothes and stuff, and the birds are running from it. It's not a real person. It's a piece of wood clad in clothing. That's what these people are like. They're walking around with thobes and goofies and stuff on, and they're pieces of wood clad in clothing. Allah says, and when you see them, their person pleases thee. You know, they got these things on. And if they speak, you listen to them. They are like pieces of wood clad in garments. They think every cry is against them. Brother, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be that. They stop a lot of these hadith haters, these sunnah rejectors. They think every cry is against them when Allah is just warning you. They are the enemy, so beware of them. May Allah destroy them, how they are turned back. That's what Allah said. I didn't say that. That's Allah. I'm just repeating it. Let me repeat it again. When thou seest them, their person please thee. And if they speak, you listen to them, their speech. They are like pieces of wood clad with garments. They think every cry is against them. They are the enemy, so beware of them. May Allah destroy them, how they are turned back. Chapter 64, verse 14. 64:13. Oh, you believe. Surely your wives and your children, they are enemies to you. So beware of them. And if you pardon and forbear and forgive, surely Allah is forgiving merciful. Finally, chapter 5, verse 92. And obey Allah and obey the messenger and beware. Obey Allah and obey the messenger and beware. But if you turn back, then know that the duty of thy messenger is only a clear deliverance of the message. You mean Muhammad is only a mailman? Muhammad is but a messenger. And the duty of our messenger is only what? A clear delivery of the message. Now this I'm calling the big slip. The big slip. And in this coloration I got here on the chart, I got it pink. It reminds me of the pink slip. You know, when you're working and you get a pink slip, that's a problem. You say, wow, I'm sorry, we have to let you go. This is the big slip. Beware of slipping back into darkness. This is the big slip, which will turn into a pink slip for you. Now, what is a pink slip? A notice of dismissal from employment. Chapter 2, verse 34 to 36. Chapter 2, verse 34 to 36. And when we said to the angels, be submissive to Adam, they submitted, but Iblis did not. He refused, and he was proud, and he was of the disbelievers. He was a kafir. And we said, O Adam, dwell thou and thy wife in the garden, and eat from it a plenteous food from wherever you wish. And approach not this tree, lest you be of the unjust, of the Zalimeen. But the devil made them slip. This is the big slip. This is the big slip, which turned into a pink slip. You see? They slipped, and then they got, oh, we have to lay you off. Excuse me. You're out of here. Get your stuff. Pack up. You're out. The devil made them slip. Slip from it and caused them to what? Depart from the state in which they were in. Chapter 3, verse 154 to 157. We have to beware now of slipping back into darkness, because this is what the shaitan is going to cause us to do. If we follow the footsteps of shaitan, we're going to get our big slip here. We're going to make a big slip, and will result in our pink slip, and we're going to go sliding on that sliding scale back into darkness. Chapter 3, verse 154 to 157. Those of you who turn back on the day when the two armies met, only the devil sought to cause them to make a slip on account of some deeds that they had done. Oh, you believe. Be not like those who disbelieved and say of their brethren when they travel in the earth and the land or engage in fighting, had they been with us, they would not have died or been slain, that Allah may make it to be a regret in their hearts. And Allah gives life and causes death, and Allah is the seer of what they do. You know, when we were coming here to this conference, some tried to persuade us, look, you should not go to this conference because, you know, this pandemic thing is out there still, and you're going to be sitting around people with the mask on and all that kind of thing. You could cause a problem. If. You should stay home and die home. Let some fall down the stairs and die home. Let somebody shoot through the window and die home. Like you're going to escape death by staying home. You think you're going to escape death. Let me go out in the cause of Allah. If I die, let me die there. Let me sit home and something fall on my head. Well, I should have went with the people in there. Let me go out there. I should have stayed home. What are you talking about? Well, I said, wherever you are, death will find you. When it's time, it will get you. Oh, you believe. Be not like those who disbelieve and say of those brethren who, when they travel in the earth, or engage engaged in fighting. Now, we're not engaged in fighting, but certainly we're traveling in the earth. So we're in that same boat there. You say to them, had they been with us, they would not have died or been slain. Look at that. They would not have died. You caught something and died, or somebody killed you. You see, you would not have died. What you died from? I caught something and died, or was slain. What happened? I got out there and the guy hit the car and I jumped out and fighting and the guys killed me. Neither one of those would have happened, you see, had you been with us. And the law gives life and he causes death. And the law is the seal of what you do. Nobody can take your life. Nobody can give you life. The law does that. And the law said, by the way, let me just remind you, in chapter verse 156, and if you are slain in the law's way, or die. Look how law is mincing these words here. If you're slain in the law's way, fighting and doing that, we don't have to do that. They did back there, perhaps they established the deen. Or you just die, you know. Well, I had a heart attack, I had a stroke, you know, I ate too much and choked. You know, one of those samosas went down the wrong pipe and they couldn't get it out choked, so I died. So the law said, if you're slain or you die. If you die or slain, to the law you are gathered back. If you're slain in the law's way or die, sure law's protector, and he's and his mercy is better than what you amass. You see? June 8, looking at this, you see how you crossing these verses up. I can read it there, see what you're doing. Chapter 3, verse 156, if you are slain in the law's way or die, surely the law's protection and his mercy is better than what you amass. 157, and if you die or slain, to the law you are gathered. What are you talking about? What's the problem? Why are you trying to be staying home and scared that something's going to happen to you in the law's way? What are you talking about? You want to sit home, and whose way are you sitting on? When you're invited to a law's way and you want to sit home, whose way is that? You can't be going to a law way and you reject that and sit home in a law's way. How many ways the law got? One going this way and one going that way? No. One is going to be the devil's way. He's going to call you that. You're invited here, the devil's calling you here. So that's just some confusion in our mind. And Shaitan puts that thought in our mind. Chapter 2, verse 204 and 207 to 209. 204. And of men is he whose speech about the life of this world pleases thee. And he calls Allah to witness of that which is in his heart. Yet he is the most violent of adversaries. And again, of men is he who sells himself to seek the pleasure of Allah. Look at this. Two types of men. One type of man is the man whose speech of the life of this world pleases you, you see? Yet he is the most violent of people, you see? He calls Allah to witness what is in his heart. Yet he's a liar and a thug and a mischief maker. There's another kind of man. And of men is he who what? Sells himself to seek the pleasure of Allah. And Allah is a companion, and Allah is compassionate to his servant. This man will sell himself to seek the pleasure of Allah. You see? In other words, I'll sacrifice my own life, if necessary, to seek the pleasure of my Lord. Or you believe. Enter in complete peace, meaning surrender and follow not the footsteps of the devil. Surely he is to you an open enemy. He's out in the public. You can't say, excuse me, the devil around anywhere? You're going to say, no, he's not around. You think the devil is not around? He's an open enemy. He's open. You see? As a matter of fact, he's whispering in your ear right now. You see? So he's open. You don't have to look for him, think he's hiding somewhere. He's with you wherever you are. He's with you there. Whispering. Allah gave him leave to track you down. Oh, you believe, enter into complete peace, surrender, follow not the footsteps of the devil, surely he's open in it for you. But if you slip, beware of slipping back into darkness. If you slip after what? clear arguments have come to you, then know that the law is mighty wise. If you getting caught up in the devil, beware of him. But if you slip after clear arguments, I can see you slipping and you didn't have no arguments, you didn't know, and so the devil caught you out there, you was unaware, but you got clear arguments, and then you slip after that. Like, well, Brother Jake had, you see, he said, this argument alone, this verse alone is enough against the Sunnis. Chapter 2, verse 125. After marshaling a whole slew of Quranic verses in that lecture, which is now on YouTube, the wisdom argument, after marshaling all those Quranic verses, clear arguments, yet he slipped and turned back into darkness after clear arguments had come to him. I'm saying that's a poster boy for me for the black hole, the darkness. That's him. He did that, not me. That's his business. He chose to do that, and then after he did that, now he wanted to know, well, I asked people to explain to me this verse and all that. I said, you did that after you had jumped into the black hole. Ain't nobody going to no black hole trying to explain no verses to you. Nobody jumping into a black hole to catch you. Excuse me, let me give you the verses before you hit the bottom. I'm gonna get out of this thing. Now, ain't nobody doing that. Now, in case you don't want to slip into the black hole or slip back into darkness, Allah has issued you a lifeline. A lifeline. If you grab that lifeline and hold on to that, you will not slip back into darkness. You will not slip into darkness. Chapter 2, verse 97 to 101. A lifeline. Say, chapter 2, verse 97 to 101, verse 97. Say, whoever is an enemy to Jibril, Gabriel as he's called, then indeed he brought it down on your heart, on thy heart, by Allah's permission, confirming what is before it, and a guidance and glad tidings for the believers. Whoever is an enemy to Allah, and his angels, and his messenger, and Jibril and Michael, then surely Allah is an enemy to what? The disbelievers, the kafirun, the people who, when Allah alone is called upon, without any second sources, they're kafir, they're kafirs. They're not ya ayyuhal ladina amanu, they are ya ayyuhal kafirun. They're kafirs because they don't like Allah alone, chapter 40, verse 12. When Allah alone was called upon, they become kafirs. But when shirk is added to that, they become believers. This is the Sunni Muslim world with their second shahada and all their second source materials. That's what it is. Allah calls them kafirs. Ya ayyuhal kafirun. That's waiting for you in the black hole argument. But you can get a taste of it now so you can start trying to get up out of that if you like. Be prepared for what's coming, more of it. Well, that's what it is. You're kafirs. All you Sunni Muslims and Shiite and any second source people on the planet Earth, whether you be Jews, Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, whoever, second sourcers, not flying saucers, second sourcers, are kafirs according to your Creator. Now, whoever's an enemy to Jibril, whoever's an enemy to Allah and his angels and the messengers and Jibril and Michael, then surely Allah is an enemy to the disbelievers. And we have indeed revealed to thee clear verses, and none disbelieve in them except the defiantly disobedient, the fasikun. Verse 100 rather. Is it that whenever they make a covenant, a party of them cast it aside, nay, most of them have no faith. And when there come to them a messenger from Allah verifying that which they have, a party of those who were given the book threw the book of Allah behind their backs, as if they knew nothing. They threw what? The Kitab Allah. Can you imagine now? Allah is using the Kitab Allah. He's not saying the book, so you can say, What book? The Injil, the Torah? It's not the real Injil. It's not the Torah. What book? Allah said, no, the Kitab Allah. So I don't care what book it is. Allah calls it the Kitab Allah. Now, which one you know is not the Kitab Allah? Which one you say is not Kitab Allah? Allah calls Kitab Allah. So what do you call? You got this Quran? Is that Kitab Allah? Well, the message said, my people have made Mahjur, and they hid you from the Quran. So you got there. You got caught there. You got. So you jammed. So you threw the book of Allah behind your back. Now, chapter 3, verse 100 to 102. Allah says, how can you disbelieve while you are recited the messages of Allah, and among you is his messenger? How is it that you're doing that? Allah saying, accusing you, that means you were doing it right then. And you're doing it now. How can you disbelieve when you're being recited the messengers of Allah? And in that case, at that time, and I would venture to say that right now we have the messenger among us, because the messenger is the message. So if I go to a bookstore and I find a Quran and I read it, that's a message. And where is that message embodied? In the message, the Quran. So that Quran is bearing the message, it's the messenger. I mean, take that as you will, whatever. Just let's take the message. If you don't like all the other talk, forget about that. The message. You see, how can you disbelieve while you are recited the messages of Allah? That's what we're doing right now. And that's what Jake did on that video. He recited the messages of Allah. Then he himself disbelieved. Not the people he was reciting it to. They disbelieved too, but we're not talking about that. We can see how that did it. How did you yourself disbelieve in the messages of Allah that you yourself was reciting? How'd you manage to do that? And among you is his messenger, and whoever holds firmly, is your lifeline, whoever holds firmly to Allah, he indeed is guided to a straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Whoever holds firmly to Allah. Excuse me, brother. How does one hold firmly to Allah? We don't see Allah. Allah's not a man. He's not in the person of a man. We're not followers of Elijah Muhammad. We're not Christians, Trinitarians, God in the person of a man. So if I could just touch the hem of his garment, it's not that. It's not Master Elijah Muhammad or somebody can Assalamu alaikum, brother. It's not that. We can't hold fast to Allah like that. That's strange. So let's see if we can unravel that mystery. 101. Oh, you believe, keep your duty to Allah as it ought to be kept, and die not unless you are Muslims. Or die unless you're a Muslim. Verse 102. And hold firmly by the covenant of Allah altogether. Oh, I see this is making sense now. When it said before, hold fast to Allah, now it's saying hold fast to the covenant of Allah, which is called a rope, like a rope. Hold fast to the covenant of Allah, what? Altogether, and be not disunited, and remember Allah's favor to you. When you were enemies, then he united your hearts so that by his favor you became brethren. And you were on the brink of the pit of the fire. You were slipping back into darkness. You were almost in the black hole. And Allah snatched your behind up out of it. So with that rope that he threw down, look, grab it. Oh Allah, please send us a messenger so we can follow the messages. And you grabbed it. And so Allah roped you back up out of there. So Allah said you were on the brink of the pit of the fire. Then Allah saved you from it. Thus Allah makes clear to you his verses that you may be guided. Now, I guess I said it's getting better now, so we see what it is. Chapter 4, the lifeline. Chapter 4, verse 145 to 146, 175 to 176, 145, the hypocrites are surely in the lowest depths of the fire. The hypocrites, they're in the lowest depths of the fire. And thou will find no helper for them, except those who repent and amend themselves, and what? Firmly hold to Allah, and are sincere in their obedience to Allah. Firmly hold to Allah, except you in the pit of the fire. You're right there now. It's just you waiting to die, and then you can experience it for real. Now we see we're here. We were certain. So except before you die, you turn back from that mess and turn back to Allah and are sincere in your obedience to Allah. These are with the believers. Now you join another party with them, and Allah will soon grant the believers a mighty reward. Chapter 4, verse 175. O people, mankind, a convincing proof has indeed come to you from your Lord, and we have sent down to you a clear light. A convincing proof, argument, hujjah, has come to you from your Lord, and we have sent down to you a clear light. Then as for those who believe in Allah and hold firmly by Him, be He, by Him, that's a single source. He will admit them to His mercy and grace and guide them to Himself on the straight path. He will guide you to Himself, ila siratal mustaqim. Allah will guide you to where? To Himself on a straight path. If you hold fast by Him alone. There's no second source, materials that you have to hold fast to. In closing, chapter 43, verse 21 to 24. Or 21, chapter 43, verse 21. Or have we given them a book before this Quran, so that they are holding fast to it? You got another book that you want to hold fast to? We told you to hold fast to the rope of Allah, hold fast to the covenant of Allah, hold fast to Allah, hold fast by Him. Have you got another book that you hold fast to it? Yeah, you got Sahih Bukhari and all that. You're holding fast to that. You say the best speech is the speech of Allah, the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad. So you got another book. Wow, look at that. How do you do that? And you're holding fast to that. Even though Allah says, then you associate gods who guide to the truth. 1035. Allah guides to the truth. Your duty, Muhammad, is not to guide. Chapter 2, verse 272. Your duty, what? Is not to guide, but Allah guides. But yet you got that hadith book, and you're holding fast to it. Allah has indicted you 1400 years ago that you're doing right today. You're falling right into that trap today. Yet you're talking about Quranists, Quraniyun, hadith rejectors, a bunch of fools, a bunch of baboons. And I hate to call you names like that, but Allah calls you a kufar, a kafir. You should like what I'm calling you, baboon and stuff like that. Allah calls you a kafir. Allah says you're a kafir. Allah calls you a kafir. You're not ya ayyuhal ladina amanu, you're ya ayyuhal kafirun. Chapter 40, verse 12. Go get your sheikhs and your tafsirs and your hidayah books and examine chapter 40, verse 12 carefully. And beware that it's coming your way in your neighborhood soon. Coming to you soon. Chapter 40, verse 12 is coming to you soon. In full color and detail. Chapter 43, verse 21 to 24. Or have we given them a book before this Quran, that they hold fast to? They're holding fast to it. Nay. They say, we found our fathers on a religion, on a way, and surely we are guided by their footsteps. No, we don't have a book. We don't have a book that you gave us that we're holding for. No, there's no book. But we found our fathers on a path, and we're following their footsteps. We're following what we found our fathers doing. We ain't even got a book. We're just following some blind foolishness. Look, we ain't even got sense enough to follow a second book. There's no second book. We ain't even got sense enough, even though we followed that, but we even throw that under the bus. We threw the Quran under the bus. We're going to throw that book under the bus. We're following our footsteps of our fathers. That's what we were raised in. That's what they did. We're traditional, following that tradition like that. And that's what we're doing. We're not going to think about this. That's what they did. Why would I be thinking about that? That's what they did. We're following them. Nay, they say, We found our fathers on a religion, on a course, and surely we are guided by their footsteps. And thus we have sent not before thee, and thus we have sent not before thee a warner in a town, but the wealthy ones among them, the high polluting people, the people of status, statue, or recognition. They said, surely we found our fathers following a religion, and we follow their footsteps. And so the warner said, wait a minute, hold it, what did you just say? You don't have a book and you're following what your ancestors did, ancestral worship, tribal worship, sunnah, tradition. What? The warner said, even if I bring you a better guide than that which you found your fathers following? You mean even if I bring you a better guide than that which your fathers got? Look, check this out. Wow, I didn't have nothing like that. Wow, that's heavy. Where'd you get that from? This is better than me. Sorry, brother, I'm sorry. I mean, I see it's better, but we got to keep following what we found our fathers doing. No, don't get me wrong. What you got is better. What? Even if I bring you a better guide than that which you found your father? They said, we are surely disbelievers in that which you are sent. We disbelieve in that. We're kafirun. We're kafirs. See? Closing out with this opposition to the truth and its punishment. Opposition to the truth and its punishment. Chapter 43, verse 36 to 44. 36. And whoever turns himself away from the remembrance of the beneficent, we appoint for him a devil, a shaitan. Whoever turns yourself away from the remembrance of the beneficent, well, right away, as soon as you turn away from that, you're turning to something else. What? We'll appoint for you, get him, just your mission. Next one is this man, okay, you with him. He's turning, you with him. He's turning, you with him. Everybody who turns away from we appoint you a member of the shaitan. Don't think you just, I got away from that, I'm just free, I can do whatever. Please, no, you got a shaitan with you. Whoever turns away from the remembrance of the beneficent, we appoint to him a devil, so he is his associate. He is your sahaba, your companion. 37, and surely they hinder from the right way, and they think that they are guided right. You see that companion that you got, the shaitan that's whispering to you and telling you, look, don't listen to that Quran alone talk. Don't listen to stuff on YouTube. They bombard you with that. And these are Quranic, you and Quran is Quranic. How to defend against the Quran is how to reject the Quran is how to stop following the law alone, how to keep our ancestral worship, how to keep our second sources, how to keep this shirk alive. Well, that's that companion telling you how to do that. Look, tell them son, whisper that. Don't listen to that. When that Quran is being recited, make noise. Make noise. Make noise. Shaitan, your companion, is doing that. When that Quran is recited, make noise. Don't listen to that. And surely they hinder from the right way and the path of Allah, and they think that they are rightly guided. 38. Until when he comes to us. All that stuff is going to stop now when you come. You don't think you're just going to keep doing that. You're going to be doing that, what? Until you come to us, until the day of judgment, until you stand on before Allah. Then Shaitan going to break out. Shaitan goes, oh, you dead? I'm out of here. I'm gone. I don't want nothing to do with that. And you push you for, you're on yourself. Well, when you was with me all this time, then could you help me? Not now, buddy. I'm sorry. I see what you don't see. Until they come to us, they say, oh, would that between me and thee there were the distance of the east and the west. So evil is associate and they are companion. 39. And as you did wrong, it will profit you naught this day, and you are sharers in the chastisement. 40. Canst thou make the deaf to hear, or guide the blind and him who is in clear error? So if we take thee away, if we take thee away, we shall still exact retribution from them. So hold firmly to that which has been sent down to thee. So hold firmly to that which is sent down to thee. surely thou art on the straight path. Hold firmly to that which is sent down to you, the Quran. Surely you are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Hold firmly to that which is sent down to you. You are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Don't be like these people over here talking about Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. These foolish people. 2 rakats, 3 rakats, how many rakats? Bow, only step bow. Don't make taslim, don't make wudu. Just make the rakat, just say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Make sure you say that. These foolish people, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. What? Hold firmly to that which has been sent down to you. Uhiya. Uhiya ilayka. What is that? Quran chapter 6, verse 19. This, the Quran, has meant uhiya to me. Uhiya. That with it I may warn you whoever. And what? 6:107. Follow what is uhiya to you from your Lord. There's no God but He, and turn away from the people who are not like that, the mushrikeen. The mushrikeen. Hard on the mushrik, is that what you're inviting them? Hold firmly to that which has been sent down to thee. Surely you are on the straight path. Innaka ala sirat al-mustaqim. Innaka ala sirat al-mustaqim. Surely you are on the straight path. You don't have to be standing here. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. What kind of foolishness is that? The messenger, you think he's going to be stupid enough to be Allah telling them this, and then he's going to go over here trying to make salah. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. What kind of nonsense is that? How foolish can you be? This is insanity. And you talk Quranists, Quraniyun, a bunch of hypocrites, kufas. Kufas, that's what you are. That's what you are. Verse 44. And surely it, this Quran, this is what's sent down to you, that's got you on the straight path, is a reminder for thee and thy people, and you will be questioned. 42. Or we shall show thee that which we promised them. Surely we are possessors of power over them. Warning. This is, I think, the last thing. Warning. Warning. Chapter 40, verse 41 to 44. Warning. Warning. And oh my people, how is it that I call you to salvation and you call me to the fire? What kind of bargain is that? I'm calling you to salvation. You're calling me to the fire. What kind of shit is that? Excuse me for saying that, but that's what it is. It's like, what? I'm calling you to salvation, to save your soul in the day, to have paradise and all that. This is what the book, the Quran, is calling you to. That's what the Quran is calling to you. Now, if you saying that I'm a Quranist, Quraniyun, and this Quran is definitely, you must admit, calling you to salvation. So I'm using it, but you're unhappy because I don't have this gibberish over here. I'm using this. So at least admit that with this, I'm calling you to salvation. Now I'm saying with that, you're calling me to the fire. Because Allah says, this is some lahwal hadith. There's some frivolous hadith that leads away from this asnal hadith. You have hadith that's leading away from the asnal hadith, what you call sahih hadith, that's got foolishness in it. So now, how is it that my people, I'm calling you to salvation, you call me to fire? You call me to what? You call me to disbelieve in Allah alone. You call me to disbelieve in Allah alone and to associate with Him that for which I have no knowledge. And I call you to the mighty, the forgiving one. Look what you're calling me to, some foolishness. I'm calling you to Allah. You know Allah. You believe in Allah. You know the Quran. You accept the Quran. I'm calling you to that. Allah alone, the Quran alone. But you calling me to some second source and some foolishness. You have no right to that. What kind of deal is this? What's going on here? Can you really think about that for a minute? Well, brother, you know, you're right. But, you're right, but. You're right, but. So wait, let's cut off the but for a minute. The right, am I right? Yeah, what's making me right? Now, after you tell me what's making me right, then tell me your but. See how that but overrides the right that you just told me. You can see that's nonsense. 43, without doubt, that what you call to me, you calling me to has no title to be called to in this world or in the hereafter. What you calling to me is BS in this world and BS in the next. It's BS in this world and BS in the next. It has no title, it's worth nothing. And our return is to Allah, and the transgressors are companions of the fire. So you will remember what I say to you, and I entrust my affair to Allah. Surely Allah is seer of the servants. You will remember what I say to you, and I entrust my affair to Allah. Surely Allah is seer of the servant. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.